So today we're going to talk about anatomy of a web page. And because every page, website out there has certain elements that need to be consistent and being used throughout every design. So the nature of how the pages are viewed. Usually what they are is people look for certain navigation, look for certain areas on a website that they get used to, that they see on almost every website. So some of the things we're going to talk about here is how we view them. So it's like, here is actually a diagram. It's usually an F pattern as far as how they measure. This is a study is. It's like when we look at websites, we kind of like read in like this F pattern. Usually that is anything that is in red is up towards the top left corner, and then we read across to the right. So you kind of see as far as these are temperature gauges as far as when people are looking at certain sites, they can see what is being seen. All right, so borrowed conventions is here we refer to what is called above the fold. So when a page actually loads up onto a website or onto your browser, usually there's important information at the very, very top of the page. So like in the case of here is this, there's like a fold line. Now what does this refer to? Why do we call it above the fold? Well, back in the early days of when we used to have newspapers delivered on daily porch or whatever, usually when you opened up the newspaper, there was a fold line, and anything that was above that fold line usually was the very first thing that is seen. It's usually a very important element. It's usually a big headline that is being used as something that's really historical or whatever. That important headline is usually above that fold. So any information that you want people to see right away, you need to make it go above that little fold line. Now, is there a determination of where this fold line is? No, it's different on every computer. Every computer, every phone, every device that is actually showing a website will have a different form of that fold. So as far as there's any kind of initial element that I want to, or size or space or whatever you want to do with that, there really isn't. So, all right. So search engine optimization, which is having a high search engine rank, is critical to a company's online success. All right, something that is searchable within a site, it has to form any kind of keywords. Let's say if there's any kind of keywords you want to use maybe on a headline or body copy or anything like that, that sets it up as being very, very important. We'll talk about search engine optimization in a separate lecture, but this is what we want to focus on for a moment. All right, so in the sense of in design wise, form always follows function. If you've ever installed an app on your phone and you thought, oh, this thing is going to change my life, I thought, well, it looks really cool. And then you download it and you start to use it and you're like frustrated because you can't figure it out, or it's not very intuitive, or it's not very user friendly. Then it doesn't function well. It may look pretty, but if it doesn't function, it will fail. So it has to function before you can make it look pretty. So the line, shape, or the color, the line, shape, or manner that a design takes to support and help the user to get to the information they seek. So I like to bring up this. This is ordinary oven. Okay. Now the sense here is like, oh, what does an oven have to do with website design? Well, again, it follows that function area. So like right now we see an oven. Many people see the oven in their own household, and they can look at it and figure out, okay, what works. Typically the knobs will turn on certain burners, and in this case here, they have to have a little diagram above the knob to tell you which burner it goes to. If we did not have that little icon above the knob, could you actually tell which knob goes with which burner? You could maybe deduce that maybe these two function to the two left ones, or the two on the right here deal with the two right burners. But as far as which one's top and bottom, you don't know. All right. So basically, the diagram tells you what is actually how it lays out, but you need that diagram in order to see it. So, which refers to this, depending on layout, again, like this, we have four knobs here that turn on four burners, but could you tell me which knob actually goes with which burner? Not really, no. Now, if you go over to this one, you see that the burners are actually laid out in the same orientation as the actual burners. So there's more of a probability that this knob will go with this burner, this knob goes with here, this one goes here, and this one goes here. It matches visually. So how does that work with the website design? Well, you're looking for certain things that people are used to seeing. They're looking for certain things like navigation towards the top or information towards the top, logo at the top, contact information maybe at the bottom. There's a footer or something like that that they see on every page. So like headers act as a grounding force for the user by identifying and visually unifying all the pages of a site. Typically the headline or the header actually contains like the logo and the navigation and some contact information. That typically is identical on every page. That way people are used to it and know that when they click somewhere to go on another page, they know that they didn't go somewhere else. So they're on your own site. So like this, it's like, again, this is what's considered a header. All right. A feature area, which is to achieve hierarchy. Designers use a focal point, an area in the composition that is perceived before all others. Many times it's like set up as like this banner image at the very top of a site to kind of give it more visual appeal. So like in the sense of here, it kind of creates this hierarchy. Featured area, maybe it's a small little banner area with a picture of somebody and an article that is there that's changing all the time. All right, so this is a featured area that is being used. The body and content, which changes differently. It's different on every page depending on what content is there. The body or the content area of a website is where users spend most of their time, as it usually represents the end of their search for content. So, body copy, I mean, this is a horrible website, but the content area is what's being taken up a lot. All right, sidebar area. The sidebar of a website or web page contains secondary information that either supports the main content or directs users to related content. The sidebar area has gone away quite a bit because of the use of mobile devices. We can't put a sidebar on a mobile device. There's not enough space. So it usually goes down and becomes a secondary element as you scroll. Okay. So sidebar areas are kind of like this small information area that's being used. Some sites do have that if you open it up on a desktop, but as far as like mobile devices, that is usually down below all the main content. The footer area is an area of a page that contains critical information and performs tasks for both the user and SEO. So like a footer area might have a small little about, recent photos, links to social media, maybe some navigation as it scrolls down to the bottom if it's a long page. And maybe if there's a blog, sometimes I'll have a featured post and located in there, as well as information about copyright and, other things. Backgrounds can add depth and dimension to a page. Now, be careful of backgrounds. Depending on how your page is set up, you want readability over anything else. And if you include a busy background and no color or nothing to contrast it from the background, then you might have readability issues. Long ago, social media wasn't really around, there used to be this site that called MySpace, which is kind of like the advent of social media. MySpace was notorious for having awful designed pages because the backgrounds usually were very busy and they had no way of actually making the body copy or the body area to be more readable. So MySpace became this notorious awful website type thing. So like in the sense here, it's very soft, but there's still a lot of contrast going on in this area. Same thing here. Okay. So the important thing is to make sure that, again, making sure readability is crucial, having a focus, and making sure your important elements are above the fold. So I will see you in the next video.